She was experiencing a form of harassment from the Senate president. And then the second was to give a form of instruction to tell her to withdraw the lawsuit that she has made. Can you give us your perspective, your side of the story, of your interaction between yourself and Senator Poti and her husband?
Before I answer that question, I would like to start with certain premises. One, I'm just here on behalf of myself and the other two women in the Senate. Two, I'm also here as the Senate chairperson for Women Affairs. The other premise is that since there are only 4 women, we've all 4 of us been particularly close. Senator Natasha and I have been also even closer because I take her as my daughter, as I'm old enough to be her mother. And I guide her since, in truth, the Senate is predicated on ranking. And we were there a whole 6 months before her. So I'm able to tell her how things are done. Look at this, go here, check that out. So that, and then the day in question, I was not in the Senate. I was in NMPC hospital. When I came out of the hospital, my driver said to me, "Madam, there's wahala in the Senate." I said, "What about?" He didn't tell me, he just said Senator Natasha. As soon as I heard her name, as I always do with everything that concerns her, I promptly called her. I said, "Natasha, what's going on?" He said, he started to try to explain about seating. She had not given me the proper explanation. I had not been given the opportunity to respond when she said to me, "I'll call you back, I'll call you back." Till today, Senator Natasha has not called me back. I have a smartphone. Before I called Senator Natasha's husband, I had called Senator Natasha twice without response. Then I called him to say, "I've called her twice, she's not answering me." He said, "Oh, she went to Singapore. Maybe that's why." And then I said to him, this is not the way this should be handled. Now, let's go on to other things. The reason we've heard it said everywhere that the 3 women in the Senate have been silent. Yes, because silence is golden, especially when one of us is not following the rules. And as women, we did not want to come out publicly to say anything negative about her. And we were hoping all of this will blow over, as a lot of things do. Now, the truth of the matter is, yes, the Senate is not gender-friendly, but it has been improving, much better than when we first entered the Senate, I must say. And the truth of the matter is, when we make a fuss and we draw the attention of the Senate president, he does correct it. Truly, the Senate can do better than it's doing, but there's hardly anything that's been done to us that's not done to other men. It is more appropriate to say that the Senate is not opposition-friendly. Now, the Senate leadership may not be gender-friendly, but I must say the majority of the senators, they are very kind and they are conciliatory to us. They look out for the fact that women, some of them have been there before. They guide us on, do it like this, do it that way. And slowly, even I can say, without anybody repudiating that fact, that I am the singular senator that fights the Senate president the most. But I have learned to do it. If it arises on plenary, I deal with it there, especially when it's on issues to do with my constituency. When it's on other issues of privileges, I go and meet him when all the senators are in the dining room, and I fight with him there and get the support of other senators. Senate is a place where the majority takes the day. So then also I want to say something. Us women in the Senate, in fact, to be honest, Senator Natasha has gotten the most privilege of all the 4 of us. The seat I'm sitting in now have been moved 4 times. Senator Ipalibo Banigo has been moved at least twice.
Senator Ireti.
No, please let me finish. I brought myself here. Then you can ask me.
Yes, but you also have a few minutes with you.
To the issue.
So can you just make it brief, because we do have follow-up questions.
It's all right.
All right.
I will make it brief. I wanted to say that this is about the rules of the Senate. So if I can point out that other women have been moved several times. On that day, I wasn't there, but I gather that several men were also moved. And I'm only here as chairperson of Women Affairs. I want women to know we have to follow the rules of the institution we choose to enter. And that is mostly the point of this visit here. Whether there's, sexual harassment between them, they already had personal relationships before they came to the Senate.
All right.
The three of us had no relationship with Senator Akpabio before we came.
All right, Senator.
So I'm ready for your questions now.
Yes.
And the question you asked me, I don't have enough of a relationship with Senator Akpabio to discuss sexual harassment with Senator Akpabio. When I go to the Senate and my neighbors or Senator Natasha is not there, I collect documents on their behalf. I collected some for Senator Natasha, informed her. She said she was home. I went to her house. I'm answering the question. I got there. She told me, after offering a meal, that she's supposed to discuss something with him, and he said to meet her in some hotel. I said to her, you only meet
Senator Ireti, I'm sorry, I have to come in at this point. We have limited time with you. Pardon me, I have tried.
You asked me a question.
My colleague asked you a question.
So if you just want a yes or no, I'll tell you no. I did not. I was trying to tell you what transpired. And as we were discussing, her husband came in. That's all I'm trying to tell you.
Okay.
So that I could not have said so. I don't know.
All right. That's noted.
That's all I'm asking. You asked me a question, madam.
My colleague asked you the question. Thank you for getting to it eventually. Now,
I cannot see any of you, so pardon me.
It's okay. We're fine. We're just having a conversation here. You've made it clear the parts that you're aware of and what you're also unaware of. But some statements that you made, you did say that the Senate is not gender friendly, but it's been improving, and what is done to women is also done to men. That doesn't sound like it makes this experience okay. It also sounds a bit, to an extent, like you're minimizing Senator Natasha's experience, since you're saying that what she might have experienced is not something exclusive, but it's something that other people also experience. Now, I'm just wondering, as Nigerians, we most likely did not sign up for the senators to indulge in what is happening or engage in what's happening at the moment. I'm wondering how this public discourse, or discord, I should say, impacts the citizens' confidence in the Senate. Also, as a citizen of Nigeria, I would like to know your answer to that question.
It impacts it very negatively, and that's the only reason I have been sick. From here, I'm going to the hospital. It's the only reason I came. The Senate is not a place where we are supposed to be fighting over trivialities like sitting arrangements. It's a place where we're supposed to fight about issues that affect the people. And that's why this whole thing is a non-issue. If we were fighting, the truth, when I say it's not gender friendly, we expected, because there were only 4 of us, that we'll get privileges. But we don't get them. We fought to get there, and the fight continues until we can get more women in the Senate. So if we don't get privileges, we don't get them. But it does not mean that we don't get our rights. The 3 of us have not been sexually harassed. That's not to say if Senator Natasha can prove that she has been, that is fine. We will support her. But she's never discussed it with us. We don't know about it. She did not respond to the rest of the female senators. She has not spoken to any of us throughout this whole episode, from change of seat to now. Senator Banigo was with her, tried to talk to her that it can be resolved. She did not listen to her. So I'm coming to say that women of Nigeria have larger things in front of them. We are trying to pass special bills, 35% inclusion. We cannot be fighting over where we sit. And it really denigrates the institution in a manner that's not beneficial to Nigeria, the people, or the women. That's all I'm here to say.
All right. Well, some people would have said that Rosa Parks shouldn't have fought for her seat in what became a historic movement for the empowerment of not just black people, but women as well. So sometimes it begins with a fight over a seat. Now, don't you think that this whole debacle has now opened us up to bigger conversations? Number one, around the possibility that there may be some sort of harassment, sexual advancement happening behind the scenes. As we are well aware, it happens in several institutions around Nigeria. Are you dismissing that it is absolutely impossible that anything of this nature could be taking place?
No, I'm not saying it's impossible. No, it's not impossible. Remember, the issue was seat assignment. If we've been in the Senate a year and a half, I doubt that it was the day that this happened. Senator Natasha, I go to the other senators, female senators, with an issue. And they tell me, okay, you leave it. You're more confrontational than us. We will handle it. Senator Natasha has never discussed with the rest of us senators, and I speak on behalf of the three of us. We are older than Senator Natasha. We're wiser. We've seen a lot of things. So, and we've taken her, I have taken her as my child. There's no reason for me not to support her. Even over the change of local content, I was going to take it up with the Senate President. She told me she preferred where she was. And then I dropped it. Before that, I was the first person to take Senator Akpabio on about the market. He didn't even realize he had offended us until I tabled it. So the impression that she's all alone, it's not right and it's not correct.
Senator Kingibe, let's get straight into it. I'd like to...
Good evening and good night.
First and foremost, is Mazi Nnamdi Kanu a terrorist?
That is where I want to start. It's IPOB, because if you say Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you are like, IPOB, is he actually a terrorist?
Because I don't know why I would have said that. Anybody pleading for the unconditional release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu must be held as a terrorist.
IPOB is not a terrorist. Neither is their leader a terrorist. Because when you name a group or organization, whatever you may call it, a terrorist, that means it is the leader that is the terrorist, the one that organizes it. And if you take a look at the whole thing, what is playing now, you discover that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is not a terrorist and he has never participated in any one. And he can never be. And let me tell you, in case you forget, do you know currently now that the British are giving IPOB members asylum? And if they can openly, this is the second time they are doing that, if they can openly give IPOB asylum, definitely we are not terrorists. Because a country like a British can never welcome terrorist group in their country.
So what do you think make the Northern Coalition group to make that very ugly statement?
This statement...
They even mentioned Peter Obi.
Yes, because anybody that said, they said anybody asking for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. When they say it, don't you see all those Fulani imposed governors?
Okay, does it
in
mean
the
that
East? Those ones are they asking for the Fulani?
Ferry that also demanded for the immediate release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. Are they also a terrorist?
I am coming, my brother.
The honest Ndibo, are they also a terrorist?
I don't know.
Benjamin
Kalu, is he a terrorist? I don't understand. So the thing remains, it is not their fault, but it is the fault of Ohaneze, who's supposed to stand to speak for their people. They are there collecting bribe, supporting evil. It is not their fault. It is the fault of the governors in the East, who's supposed to stand up to do the needful. But they are there being fooled. I don't blame them. That's why they come out to say Obi. Is there any northern person, the Fulani person, that is more educated than Peter Obi? Is there any northern person that is more enlightened than any other person in the eastern region? One stupid elder Fulani man said that it is the poor Igbo that are asking for the release of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu and Biafra. And I asked him, I replied to him yesterday, now, Oga, you are a fool. How many Igbo children do you see that goes out and beg for food? How many of their children did you see on the streets of Nigeria begging for survival, begging for food? You say they are poor. You that is rich, your children is outside begging for food. Me and you, who better? and you open your dirty mouth. I don't know whether you don't see all these people and eat teeth. They know they brush mouth. They only be person wey get house go know how to do clean up. They look at them, see, if then just watch them. You understand? You have the audacity to talk when I'm talking. You have audacity to refer me. Do you know the meaning of terrorist? Do you know the meaning of terrorist? Because they allowed you in this country, you that is a total stranger. Then you have the guts to call me a terrorist. You have the guts to come and say I'm the kind of a terrorist. Who gave you the impetus to do that? Because Nigeria is a country that have admitted as a terrorist country and they welcome terrorists. That is why you people are messing up. Because if it is a country, look at what has happened against C.J. Musa and his cabinet. Don't you see the mess? They have messed them up because of what? This kind of things that is going on in the country. You cannot invite somebody like C.J. Musa and turn him